Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Welcome to another Cook Along live stream with me, your host, Robert Sogamonian, chef extraordinaire. Welcome to this Friday, May 29th. We're going to get started. I'm drinking a Blind Pig IPA. This is from Russian River Brewing Company. It's very, very tasty. And we're going to be doing Mediterranean-style stuffed zucchini. I'm also doing a stuffed bell pepper and a couple of stuffed tomatoes. Might as well just go full hog, if you don't mind the expression. Don't worry, I won't give up my day job. All right, cool. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to start warming up my pan. I just want it on medium-high heat. I don't want this to go too crazy. I just want it to get warm. What I'm going to be doing is adding an onion and some garlic into the pan to kind of get started. And then we're also going to start working on our mixture. So while we're waiting for this to heat up, I want you to take either your ½ pound of ground beef, or if you have a package of Baby Bellas, like 8 ounces or so, which is about the same amount once you chop it up or grind it up, toss that into the bowl. To that, we're going to add 1 cup of rice. And I've got some water in there. It's steaming, but it's not actually burning or anything yet. We're going to add 1 cup of rice to this. I've rinsed my rice so it's a little bit wet, but it's dried for a little bit of time. We're also going to add 1 can of peeled diced petite tomatoes with the juice. And at this point, hey Michael, what's up, man? And Felicia and Pam, Mom, it is always good to see you all on stream as well. I'm actually going to turn this down to medium. Add my olive oil now. I want a pretty good glug of olive oil down on the bottom. I'd say maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons. We're going to take an onion. I'm going to move this out of the way real quick. The sizzling is just water from when I rinsed that out a couple of minutes ago. Just going to cut the top off of the onion, cut the bottom off of the onion. Get this bad boy peeled. How's everybody's week been? This has been kind of a shorter week with Memorial Day on Monday. It's been a busy week for me. A lot of training. A lot of really cool new stuff coming as well to some of the software that we're using, which is exciting. How have you all been spending your week? Hopefully not too busy. But I do know that sometimes those shorter weeks do tend to be a little bit more busy than we would like. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to cut it into rings. I want nice, big onion rings, almost like I'm going to be putting these on a burger. Probably about a 1/4 inch thick. And we want enough onion rings to kind of cover the bottom of this pan. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to put them flat on the pan. We're not going to break them up. Not yet, anyway. We just want them flat on the bottom of the pan. Let them kind of start sizzling. I'll do that. Last slice. There we are. I'm going to save this for a little bit later. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my stuffing. So we're doing a couple of things here. We're getting this kind of going. We're getting some of the bases to the sauce cooking and ready, while at the same time we're putting together our stuffing, or the filling for all of our zucchini and tomatoes and pepper and everything. So what I'm going to want to do is grab a bunch of parsley. This is about 1/3 to 1/2 cup. It really depends on how much you like parsley. I love parsley. I'm just going to get this chopped up fairly fine. I'm going to let those onions soften in there for a little bit, and I'm going to add some garlic to the party as well. I'm going to add quite a bit of garlic to that. There we go. And you can actually kind of rotate this if you use your entire palm, and then you can chop it across as well. Very cool. Good to go. That's going in there. I've got a bunch of dill. You'll notice that I'm using the dill to kind of also pick up some of the parsley. Chop this up as fine as you can get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's all going to get mixed together anyway. There we go. The dill is in. Wonderful. Yeah, Netflix is awesome. Okay, Control Z, I have not heard of that actually. What do you think about, what is it? Is that, sounds like almost maybe a zombie thing, or is it just something else? Yep, parsley for tabbouleh. I'm not making tabbouleh tonight. Tabbouleh is a long process. I'm gonna start actually crushing some garlic. Now you can use a garlic press like this if you want. These are a pain to clean out. I prefer just smashing these things down on the cutting board, like so. Use the heel of your hand against the back of a knife, and you can get these guys smashed down pretty good. There we go. And I'm just going to rough chop this. And go this way as well. Now what I'm going to use is use my knife and just kind of smash it down into the board. Now see, the cool thing about using a knife to do this, it might take a few extra seconds now, but it's going to save a whole lot of time later, because I'm not going to have to clean out that garlic press. And you can add a little bit of salt to this if you want, and smash it down even more. I'm going to take a look at my onions and kind of move them around a bit. Break them up. You'll notice they're softening. They're getting a little bit brown, but they're not burning, and that's what I want. I don't want them to burn. I just want them to kind of caramelize. I'm going to take these guys, turn it down to medium-low. Like on the medium side of medium-low, so just a little bit higher than... a little bit lower than medium, sorry. Come back to my garlic. Where's my salt? There's my salt. Sprinkle a little bit on the garlic here, and that serves as an abrasive, and then when you use the knife to press it down, it just kind of squishes it and saws it apart. Get your really nice looking garlic paste. So for this, I'm just basically putting it flat on the cutting board, like that, using the blade side of my knife, and then my 3 fingers on the actual back of the knife, on the heel of the knife, and then just pushing the whole thing down into the cutting board. And this is a great way to crush garlic. And then you can kind of chop it up really, really fine if you want. Good to go. Now all I have to do is rinse off my knife and my garlic is done. Don't have to worry about old garlic press over there. There we go. We got the heat on medium-low. It's just going to kind of get the garlic going. We're not going to burn it, but we do want it to get a little bit toasty. And mix it up with our onions. So this is basically, we're creating the base of our sauce. All right, we're good on that. I'm going to rinse some stuff off. I don't have my sink cam today, so sorry. But I'm gonna get this rinsed off real quick. And on my way back, I'm going to grab a grater, not the ice cream. Although the ice cream would be good right now. And I am going to grate down a couple of these onions. Good enough. Toss that in there. Next half. Now putting the grater flat on the board actually makes it a little bit easier to handle and to grate, because now you're putting all of your weight down on whatever you're grating into it. and you're holding onto the handle so it's not going to slide around. And it's not going to tip because the center of gravity is right there. Little life hack for you. That looks like plenty of onion. Put that in there. And scoop. Awesome. I'm going to turn this up a little bit because I do want it to keep sizzling. Trying not to cry because of that onion. Okay. It's all right. It's all right. Center yourself. All right, we're done with this. And toss him into the sink for now. Do one. We're going to do 2 more garlic cloves for the stuffing. These guys I'm just going to chop up like this. Same thing, just kind of line them up. Chop it up this way. And then same thing. I'm just going to smash them into the cutting board. And that's good. Kind of clean up all of this mess that I've created all over my work surface. Now I'm going to move some of these things out of the way. All right. You guys can go in there. And same thing with the rest of this onion. Just going to roughly chop it, toss it straight into the pot. Wonderful. So what we're doing is we're building flavor. One of the recipes that I looked at for this actually had all of these onion pieces, and they actually chop up a raw tomato and just put them on the bottom before they start cooking. But they don't sear it or they don't season it or anything beforehand, and you're missing out on a lot of flavor that way. By toasting these guys down, you actually sweeten them up a little bit. Add a little bit of seasoning. And you add that kind of roasty flavor that you get when you're actually cooking something, versus just having raw onion in the bottom stewing in the sauce. So I like this method a little bit better. It gives you a little bit of a richer sauce, a little bit of a more flavorful sauce. Get that turned back down a little bit. But again, you don't want to burn this. You want to be cooking this on medium-low so that it might caramelize, but you don't want to get any burned bits on it. All right, let's see. Hey, Anise, how's it going? Good to see you. Let's see. Ooh, Hacker. I like Hacker shows. Okay, I haven't seen Veronica Mars, but I heard it was really, really good. Ooh, Danish. Awesome. I've been kind of sort of learning Spanish and Japanese. I'm terrible at both. So, now you'll notice that I've already cored out a bunch of these zucchini, and that's because the coring is the longest part. I'm also got this one piece here that's not quite big enough. Like, it's pretty small even compared to the other small pieces. Like, it's just not wide enough. I'm just going to cut this up and throw it in the sauce. So that's what's going to happen next. And what's going to happen is, as the sauce cooks, all of the veggies that go into it are going to break down and just kind of add flavor to it. So you don't really have to be too worried about cutting these up super finely. Any kind of a dice will work. There we go. So we're going to have the flavor of the zucchini mixing in with the onion and the garlic. Oh my gosh, it already smells delicious in here. There we go. All right. So that's going. I'm actually going to chop up a tomato and put it on top and let that kind of soak up as well. And I'm just going to top it here and get rid of the stem. If you have compost, go ahead and toss it in your compost pile. We still don't have that here, or at least I don't. I need to get that set up. And we're just going to chop these up thick, like so. And I'm just going to layer this on top of everything. The heat's going to go ahead and break these down for me. There we go. Perfecto. All right, stuffing time. I'm going to dry off our work surface here. Grab our bowl, and we're just going to hand mix this. Use your hands, get in there. If you have mushrooms in here, awesome. Mix them up with the rice and everything. I've got the ground beef in here just because I love eating vegetarian or vegan, and yet I also love eating ground beef. So apologies to the vegetarians and vegans watching. However, using mushrooms is a great alternative. You pretty much just want everything to kind of be equally distributed. The tomatoes are going to give off their own juice, the diced tomatoes that we put in here, and the rice is going to start absorbing it. There we go. This is nice and fragrant. Go ahead and pack it down a little bit. And you know, the one thing I forgot to do is add my seasonings, my cayenne pepper and allspice. I'm going to take care of that here. I'm going to rinse my hands off real quick. And you don't want much. It's basically a tablespoon, or I'm sorry, a teaspoon of allspice, like that. And I like a little bit of kick in my seasoning, so I'm going to put like 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper in there. I'm just going to use my spoon here and give that a thorough mix. The reason I use my hands to begin with is because I really want to get everything incorporated. With the seasonings, they'll be fine. The allspice gives this a little bit of a sweetness. The earthiness from the mushrooms, if you're using those or the meat, is going to be pretty strong. So the allspice gives it a little hint of sweetness. The dill also kind of does that as well. Really, really tasty. Cool. So our stuffing is done. You can actually make this an hour or 2 ahead of time and let it sit in the fridge and let all the flavors kind of, you know, get to know each other, hang out in close proximity with one another. You might call it dating. There we go. All good. So I've already got these guys cored out. I've also cored out a tomato, and I recommend slicing it just until you get that flap of skin, and then digging out the inside, and then you've got this nice little cover which keeps everything all contained within the tomato. Toss that little piece of onion in there. For the zucchini, you're really just going to take off just the top part of this stem, compost it or toss it, and just the bottom part of the bottom stem. That's where the flower is. If you have zucchini plants, the flower comes out on that side. It's really, really cool looking. This way it will stand up on either side, and that's what you want because we're going to be putting it in the pot and we're going to be standing them up on end. I like cutting them in half, something like that. Grab my core and just go down most of the way, but you want about a 1/4 inch of zucchini on each side, and you want to save all of the zucchini bits. Now, I'm going to be using the zucchini bits and the tomato bits in the sauce. However, you can make these into zucchini fritters, which are another delicious Mediterranean-style food. I'm not going to do that tonight because we would be here all night. But you basically want to core these guys out until you get about a 1/4 inch of zucchini on each side. And on the bottom, if you can get as close as you want, and just kind of scoop it all out into this side dish. And you got a nice cored zucchini. Same thing with this guy. Just going to go down and scoop out. the seeds. Now, if you don't keep a 1/4 inch or so of zucchini on the sides, they can split when the rice is in there, because the rice is going to be cooking in the sauce, and it's actually going to expand while we're cooking. And just be careful, you don't want to stab yourself with the core either. That's not fun. These things are pretty dull. It's very unlikely that you're going to cut yourself unless you're really, really pushing on it, but, you know, cooking should be fun, not painful. There we are. Zucchini is cored. So I've had this thing going for a bit. I'm going to go ahead and stir everything around. Yep, even the tomatoes. That's fine. You'll notice that they're getting soft and starting to kind of break apart. Oh my goodness, the chat window's covering the... That's fine. You'll notice that nothing is burning because I've got this low enough that it's simmering, but it's not burning on itself. That's all good. I'm going to go ahead and dump in all of these bits. And now we're going to add a good amount of seasoning. We're making quite a bit of sauce in here, so a lot of seasoning is not a bad thing. Let's see, turn this up. More coarse grind. There we go. The salt's going to make everything in there release a lot of its fluid and break down quicker, which is exactly what we want. All right. Turn this up to medium-high now, since I've got enough stuff in there that it will start kind of stewing as opposed to burning. Plenty of liquid in the bottom. And as it starts simmering, it's just going to release more juice and become more tasty. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to show you how to core a bell pepper, which is super easy. Just take a paring knife. Be careful, don't cut yourself. And you're going to come in right along the ridge on top, like so. Almost like you're carving a pumpkin. There we go. And then if you can get your paring knife in there and cut just kind of horizontally, you'll release the middle seed piece from it. It'll pop right out. Now what I like to do is take this and not put the seeds in here, but I like to kind of just trim off all of this goober. Like that. Generally it's closer to me and I'm being more safe about it, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do for internet viewers. Get rid of those seeds. And then just use your fingers to pull out the rest of the pith in there. You can also use a spoon, or you can use your corer if you want. I would not recommend using a knife because it's super easy to cut yourself. Now we've got this, and we've got our top, which will fit back on, and once it's stuffed, we'll keep everything kind of contained. And very similar with the tomato, tomatoes are a pain in the ass because they've got all of the seeds and everything inside. But what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of come on the lower end on this side, cut across so that we cut underneath that stem piece. We're going to cut almost all the way across so that we can kind of peel off the lid like this. And then you're just going to use a spoon and kind of dig it out. Or if you want to try your corer, or if you really feel confident with a knife, I'm going to do the knife, but it's because I do this frequently. Be very, very, very careful because this tip goes through a tomato very easily. And I'm just going to chop out the inside, get rid of the seeds, or toss the seeds into the sauce. That works too. So let's do that. Now that I've cut everything apart, I'll use the spoon, really kind of dig out underneath it. There we go. We'll get this all dug out. Ah, there goes my top, but that's all right. There goes my dog. He's all right. Cool, so we've got all of our veggies cut open and dug out, and we got our stuffing made. Again, ideally, you can let this kind of sit in the fridge and get to marinate and kind of know itself. Let it find itself for an hour or two. You could probably let it do it for several hours if you wanted to. I don't necessarily think you need to. And then we're just literally going to take a couple of spoonfuls of stuffing. Hey dog, be quiet. You guys probably can't hear him, but he's barking at something. We're gonna stuff this about, I don't know, most of the way full. Remember, the rice is going to be expanding as it absorbs the fluid from the sauce and the fluid from everything that's around it. We're just gonna put the cap back on that. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in, right in the middle there. See where the cap fits. Where do you go? There you go. All right, you stay there. Do the pepper next. You're not trying to pack these. You're not adding enough. You're not like packing it down. You're just lightly putting it in there and just making sure you fill all the crevices. And again, you're not filling it to overflowing because this is going to expand. And we'll figure out where that lid goes, like that. We'll put you over on this side. There we go. Other tomato. I can go on this side. And we're just going to stuff our zucchini and we're good to go. Yep, I'm using Duolingo as well. I have another friend, actually I've got a couple of friends who are also learning how to do various other languages with it. And we're all kind of competing on that. So if you want, you can add me on there. You can probably find me by my name or look up Cyrix. That's my internet name everywhere. Just gonna get these guys stuffied up like this. Podcasts in Danish. That actually sounds like a lot of fun, listening to a podcast in a different language. I don't think I have a good enough grasp on Spanish yet to even attempt that. So for the zucchini, I am setting them in and kind of tipping them sideways a little bit. These guys are also, since the tops are open, we're not closing them like we are with the pepper and the tomatoes. You can stuff them a little bit higher if you want. They can still split if you don't have enough of a side wall. So if you've cored them a little too thin, they can definitely split on you. There we go. Put you right in there. And another thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to put the lid on this and let it simmer. And that's what's going to keep the rice steamed and cooked all the way through, as well as the veggies. And be careful as you're moving things around. You, number one, don't want to slide the pot off of your cooking surface, nor do you want to burn yourself with the liquid that's in there. Tink, tink. There we are. Good to go. Get that tomato core, move you out of the way, put you over there. And then the last thing we're going to do, anything that's left in the bowl, we're just going to scoop it in here. It's going to help flavor the sauce. There we are. Just kind of spread it around a little bit. And then we have a can of tomato sauce that we are also going to pour in there. And get it over your zucchinis for sure, but also your peppers and other tomatoes. And what that's going to do is as it gets steamed and kind of cooked up, it's going to seep into everything. And all the flavors are going to kind of come together and just become delicious. Cool, so we're good on that. The last thing that we're going to do, and you can do this a bunch of different ways, just by seasoning this with enough salt, it'll permeate everything in there, because a lot of this is just liquid. Veggies are a lot of liquid. So we're going to put a very generous seasoning of salt on this. You can also season the stuffing and the insides of the veggies. And I know this looks like a ton of salt, but you're essentially making a stew. So you want to make sure that you get enough salt in there. Otherwise, things will be bland. Cool. So we're good. I'm going to put one last little pinch of cayenne pepper over everything. Because again, this is a stew. I want it to be a little bit interesting when I eat it. Awesome, awesome. Time for some beer. Yep, you can definitely do barbecued and roasted zucchinis as well. Dill is good. I don't use it enough, but I should. Now, I'm also going to give you a heads up that I am cheating, and I made some for earlier this week, and I'm going to reheat these so that I can actually eat them when I'm done with this cook-along live, because the rest of these guys are going to sit in here for about 50 minutes to an hour while they simmer. So those two are going on top. You didn't see that, but that's how I'm going to do my movie magic this week. And the reason I don't want to do things where I'm pulling things out of the oven and being like, oh, look, this is great. This is now done. This is essentially done, right? 50 minutes from now, an hour from now, you're just going to pull off the lid, scoop everything out, and eat it. I don't, and that's kind of the point. If you guys get to this point, you've been cooking along with me, you're done. I'm going to pull out something later and take a look at it, and it's going to look awesome and taste delicious. And you guys will be right there behind me. Whereas if I'm doing like a beef Wellington where I'm like, okay, now we're wrapping the puff pastry and now we're putting it in the oven and voila, now I'm gonna do a bunch more steps. You have to pause and come back to the video. I want to avoid that. I don't want you guys to have to be like, oh, great, now I can't continue. Like, this is done, we're good. So the movie magic is kind of centered around that. I'm gonna move this out of the way and we're gonna go ahead and make our hummus. Just gonna move this out of the way. And I will rinse off the knives in a second. Don't need this. However, I do need this. All right. Let's see if this reaches. Probably not. Of course not. View over there. Logistics, logistics, logistics. Cool. Two seconds while I walk over onto the other side and get this bad boy plugged into a different outlet. This is the fun part about doing it live, right? Start, and we're going to put this on medium-low because it's going to just be simmering. We don't want this boiling in here, we just want it simmering. Awesome, awesome. And Here we go. Hummus is super, super easy. All you need is a food processor and, of course, the ingredients for the hummus. However, the food processor is the most important part. You can use a blender if you want. The thing with blenders is you generally tend to be pulverizing or grinding garbanzo beans, and they're really, really thick. You're using garbanzo beans and a sesame seed paste, so you're essentially just putting thick upon thick upon thick, and what's going to end up happening is you're going to get those air pockets at the bottom when the blender can't quite get around. Food processors are awesome because the blade covers the entire bottom, and it's going to be stirring everything while it's blending it. This is the tool of choice for hummus, in my opinion. Let's get started. I know I said get 1 can of garbanzo beans. I've got 2, so I'm just doubling my recipe. It's the exact same amounts, just 2 of them. So we're going to do a can of garbanzo beans and a second can of garbanzo beans. I've already drained and rinsed them. I'm going to put these guys over on the side. We're going to put in our tahini now. Tahini is just a sesame seed paste. This usually comes, and when you pick it up from the store, it'll be separated. You'll have a layer of oil and then the paste like on the bottom. You can actually, this one actually came and was thoroughly mixed, so I'm super, super stoked about that. If you just take this and toss it in here beforehand and blitz it real quick and then pour it back in the can, it re-emulsifies it. And then you've got a nice coating in here, so you're already most of the way there. We're gonna put in 8 tablespoons of tahini. 1, there's 2. And you want them to be generous, so don't skimp on the tahini. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if you're doing 1 can, you want about 4 tablespoons of tahini. And as the chef, of course, you get to taste everything, which is one of the benefits of being the chef. If you have guests over, you can also torture them by singing "Be Our Guest" all night. Be our... Okay, I'm not going to do that. Cool, so got our tahini in here. Next thing we're going to do is not use this, but I'm going to get it ready. We're going to do lemons. Now, there's a really easy way. Let me grab my knives now. Haha! Here's a clean one. There's a really easy way to do lemons, and you guys can't see that because it's below you now. The lemon is beneath you. Let's grab this cutting board. Awesome. Let's get you out of the way as well. Really, really easy way to cut lemons. I guess I can do this guy for now, and I will place the lemon somewhere. If you look at the center of the lemon, right, you got your lemon here. The seeds are always in the middle in the core. If you come out about 1/3 of the way and cut down, you will get a side. There might be some seeds in it. However, the seeds are always going to be at a point where you can just kind of scoop them off. Seeds are done. This is good. I can squeeze it. If I flip it around this way, I can do the exact same thing. Come down about 1/3 of the way. Just cut it down. No seeds at all in that piece. Now I've got 2 pieces that have no seeds. Now here I can actually see where the seeds are from this side, from this angle, and just cut around them. And if I get 1 or 2 in the little slices, that's fine. I can just scoop them out with a knife or with a chopstick or my finger or whatever. And here we go. My lemon is de-seeded and ready to squeeze. I've only got this little bit here left, which I'm just going to discard. I'm going to squeeze in the juice of my lemon, and I don't have to worry about any seeds falling in there. And when you do it that way, you're it's going to be very obvious where the seeds are before you start squeezing. They show up as black or dark spots in the juicy part. And that way I'm not getting a lemon reamer dirty, I'm not getting a strainer dirty, and I don't have to worry about the seeds. So I'm going to squeeze the juice of 1 large lemon. It's going to be about 1/4 cup. And since I've got 2 cans in there, let's see, this one feels heavier. I'm going to do 2 lemons. So same thing, right here, I got my lemon. Gonna cut down about 1/3 of the way. I got one little itty bitty seed. Oh, got two. There we go. And the next one. Cut down like that. And I got like 3 seeds. I can just brush them down with a knife. This way, this entire side looks like it's got a bunch of seeds in it. That one's good. And this one here, I can just kind of pop the seeds out while it's on the board. And there we go. You know, every so often you will miss a seed. That's just how it's going to happen. But for the most part, this is a pretty foolproof way of getting all the seeds out of a lemon before you squeeze it into whatever you're using it in. Also, it makes the halves of the lemon very easy to squeeze. And I did miss one seed. He is right there. Got him. Awesome. And that looks pretty juicy, so I'm just going to leave it. All right. Got this. We're going to do the same thing with our garlic. We don't have to pulverize this because this is going to pulverize the garlic for us. So I'm just going to roughly chop it. I still like chopping it just because it makes me feel like a chef. If you don't chop it, you can get giant chunks of garlic if you don't chop it. So this is kind of helping the blender along a little bit. Get rid of all of our seeds. Wipe off the knife. I'm gonna get another, let's see, garlic over here. I got 2 cloves of garlic in there. The veggies are not from my garden yet, Shannon. Yes, you can definitely use the soy crumbles instead of meat. It works perfectly. Or if you want to use like the Impossible Burger patties, you can actually break those up as well. And I believe those are mostly mushroom based as well. So mushroom and meat are a great way to, mushroom is a great way to substitute meat. Now I like garlic. So I'm going to put in 3 cloves of garlic. Again, you can adjust these recipes to whatever you want. If you don't like garlic, don't put garlic in. You don't have to. I don't know if I'd consider it hummus, but you don't have to. And again, the easiest way to get the skins off of garlic is not to do what I'm doing here, but is to just put the curved side down, give it a light tap, and the skin should peel right off. Should peel right off is the key word. There we go. Same thing with this. I'm just going to give this a light dice. There we are. It's a lot of garlic. Now, I said to put in 1/3 of a teaspoon of salt. And the reason I said 1/3 of a teaspoon is if I put in 1/2 teaspoon, it's too salty with 1 can of garbanzo beans. If I put in 1/4 teaspoon, I have to add salt. So I figured 1/3 was in between the two. It's probably the right measurement. This is 100% to taste. So I'm actually, since this is 2 cans, I'm going to put in a little bit under a teaspoon of salt. I'll probably still have to add a little bit of salt to it later. But that's just to get it started. I'm also going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of cumin. Again, it's up to your preference. And because I like spicy food, I'm going to put in a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. There we go. Remove the spoon after you get all the garlic off of it. and just get it going. I'm just gonna let this kind of blend, and that's essentially hummus. Now what you're gonna notice is it's gonna be pretty thick. You're gonna notice one kind of little ball kind of moving around here. I've got a mixture of water and some of the bean juice in the can, and before, like in the past, I've said don't use the bean juice. I actually think it gives it the right flavor. And from what I've done, from what research I've done, it's just water that they've been soaking in, so it should be nothing other than beans and water. And I'm just gonna add a little bit into the blender to loosen it up a bit. You don't want to make this liquidy. You still want it to be almost like liquid magma. But you do want to add enough of this to make it so that it blends thoroughly. And despite the amount of lemon juice that we put in there, you're still probably going to be putting a quarter to a half a cup of this in to the hummus to get it to move around properly. There we go. Get that stopped, and yeah, I wish the veggies were from my garden. See, that's what you want. You want a nice paste. That's actually really good. I don't think it needs any salt. I think we're good. I'm actually going to add a little bit more water to that because I do want to pour it out. But you do want it to be very, very thick like that. You want it to be viscous. Viscous. And you're the one who's in charge of your hummus. So if you want it to be more liquidy or more fluid, you're more than welcome to do that. I won't talk to you if you do that, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Come on, don't take me so seriously. Let me see. There we go. Go ahead and dry this bad boy off. And the knife and the cutting board. There we go. That's good hummus. Get this guy out of the way. So, spatula is the preferred way to handle your hummus. Slide it off in the direction of the blade like that. Same thing with the other side. Slide it off in the direction of the blade. And we'll put the blade over there. Now see, this is the viscosity you want. You want it to be pourable, but you want it to be very, very slow. You want it to just kind of like bloop, just like that. And this is how you make a delicious, perfect, every time homemade hummus that is way, way better than anything you will ever find in a pre-made packet at a grocery store. And even with me talking and wasting time, this took no more than like 7 minutes to make. The cleanup is super easy as well. You literally just pour water into your food processor, and blitz it for a couple seconds. It cleans off the blade, it cleans off the inside of the food processor for the most part, and then you just kind of sponge it off and you're done. So if you're not making homemade hummus, you are doing it wrong. And this will last for, easily a week in the fridge. Now, one thing you can do if you want to let, again, the flavors kind of meld together, don't eat it immediately. Very difficult, very easier said than done. However, if you can put it in the fridge and wait for an hour or two, and let the flavors just kind of get to know each other, the hummus tastes that much better. Like licking a spoon. Yum. Cool. Hummus is going there. Let's chop some veggies. Get all this stuff out of the way. So I've got carrots and cauliflower. Unfortunately, yeah, not from my garden. I wish. Still waiting for tomatoes. I've got like I've got several plants that are just about to be ripe. My beer is getting warm. It always does. I got more important things to focus on, like food. Cool. All done with that. I'm just gonna give these a quick rinse, just to get some of the dirt off, but I'm gonna keep the skins on. I actually like carrots with the skin on. Carrot, carrot, carrot. Just gonna line up the fronts like this. Pop them off, spin it around, line up the backs. Cut those guys off as well. Now, these guys are thin enough that there's really, like, I don't really need to do very much to them. I can just do this, and I've got baby carrots. Awesome. Or if I've got a thicker piece, like maybe this one, I can cut off the thinner one, and just cut this in half. Like so. Same with this one. And just cut this back piece in half. If this is a little bit too thick, I can also cut it into spears. Really, you can do whatever you want with your veggies. And this one is thin enough that it's all good. There we are. Cauliflower. I love cauliflower. I love deep fried cauliflower. I love air fried cauliflower. I love plain cauliflower. I love cauliflower steaks. They're delicious. First thing I do with cauliflower is use a paring knife usually to take off the stem. My paring knife is currently covered in meat, so I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is take my Santoku knife here and not cut myself, but be very gentle and just kind of cut off these bottom leaves and peel them off like so. Come here, leaf. And what this is going to allow you to do, if you cut around, much easier with a paring knife, by the way. So next time you're cooking along live, make sure you wash your paring knife before you move on to the next thing. There we are. Just get rid of the stem pieces. Adios. That's one of the few words that I know from Duolingo. Adios. And see, now we can see all of the little florets of the cauliflower. And if you have your paring knife clean, you can actually just come in here and cut these little florets out very easily. You just cut straight down a floret, pop them out. There we go. And the next one. It's a little bit more awkward with one of these bigger knives. However, if you're patient, you can do it. And we're just going to go around from the bottom to the top. And the closer you get to the top, the more you're going to be able to take off at once, because they get a little closer together and a little easier to see the stems. There we are. And you can definitely cut these guys down and eat them as well. This is often the sweetest part of the cauliflower. Yum, yum. Making sure there's no dirt on it, and we're good to go. Cool. Hummus is done, veggies are done. You can also break these up a little bit more if you want. You can just kind of come in and peel them apart from the top, and you'll get little mini florets popping off of that main stalk. But since I want to make it look impressive, I'm going to keep most of this big. Size does matter when it comes to food. There we go, something like that. Stack some of our carrots up here as well, make it look kind of fun. Stick a carrot in there. Pay no attention to this cauliflower. Let's see, I'll just put these guys over here and eat them later. Clean off the rest of my board. I'm actually going to use my cutting board here as my serving tray. Let's see what's going on in here. Ooh, that looks yummy. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit. And my cheater ones are warm. And spicy. Yum. Awesome. So there's our hummus board. Come over here and grab this bad boy. We'll just do something like this. And you can see how you can kind of play this up and make it look really, really fun and pretty. With all the food that you got in there. And there we go. We got some stuffed zucchini. If you have a little bowl, you can actually scoop some of this out into the bowl, make it look really pretty. I'm not going to be putting tomato sauce all over my cutting board because it would seep all over my countertop as well. This is a very healthy and delicious dinner. Yeah, stuffed peppers, Asian style, those are delicious. Javier, the bowl is here. Awesome, Etienne. Did you make it your way or did you make it my way? Cheers, man. Cheers, Etienne. Awesome. Get these guys covered. Let the rest of them cook. But this is more or less all done. That green screen effect going on over there. I'm not quite sure why that is. I'll have to change that. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me for another Cook Along Live. Here is our finished dish. Kind of large display, but I think anybody would be happy to sit down and nom on some of this. Let me actually adjust this camera. A little bit down. There we go. Yeah. Cool. Hi. Oh boy. So here we go. We got carrots, we got stuffed zucchini, we got cauliflower, we got homemade hummus. Now, one of the things that I also like to do with my homemade hummus, I like to sprinkle the top with actually a little bit of smoked paprika because it gives it that smoky flavor. Since I happen to have my cayenne here in front of me, that's what I'll use because they're the same color. But if you put a little bit of smoked paprika on the top, it gives it a little bit of that contrast. There we go. That's a better angle. Let me do that one. So you get a little bit of that contrast with the smoked paprika. And then a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, like so. And you've got a Mediterranean treat that anyone will enjoy. Happy Friday, everybody. A little bit long tonight, an hour and 10 minutes. Next week, we're going to be doing something fun. The week after next week, I have promised my brother-in-law that we are going to be doing jambalaya. So 2 weeks we're going to be doing jambalaya. It's not going to be veggie friendly. However, you can find a veggie friendly option, and please cook along with me. I think it's fun when people join in. I have a great time cooking. I really want to inspire you guys to jump in with me and join in the fun. I think that everything that I'm choosing is usually about an hour long. That's kind of what I'm going for. And yeah, so if it sounds like fun, 2 weeks we're going to be doing jambalaya. Next week, not sure what I'll be doing yet. However, I will think of something, and we'll have a lot of fun, as we always do. It's always a good time. Thanks again. Happy Friday. Have an excellent, excellent weekend. It's supposed to be a little bit cooler up here in the Northern California Bay Area. And I'm looking forward to that, because this past week has been hot as hell. Anyway, everybody, have a great night. Always fun hanging out with you and cooking along live with you. Bye, everybody. Area. And I'm looking forward to that, because this past week has been hot as hell. Anyway, everybody, have a great night. Munchy, munchy, munchy. And now I'm eating the mic. Cooking along live with you. Bye, everybody. And I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, everybody, have a great night. Munchy, munchy, munchy. And now I'm eating the mic. Did I mute the wrong mic? I did. Lol.